There's a significant problem. Clarence Thomas absolutely is completely corrupt. When you see that ProPublica story where now attending Koch network fundraisers, his wife getting money essentially under the table, you can't tell me she's not having conversations with him about Supreme Court cases, flying on private jets, yacht rides, things along those lines. How in the hell can anybody trust the Supreme Court that literally is being purchased by billionaire conservatives?
Trust them. And not only can you not trust them, the problem with this is we're talking about the branch of government that has to most be above any appearance of impropriety, right? These are the people who are calling the balls and the strikes, so to speak. So if they're slanted, that puts everything into the context that you can't trust anything. And here's the reality of it. I like Senator Warnock a great deal, but I feel like a lot of the conversation was the same rhetoric we hear. And the reality is a lot of people don't want to be involved in government for two reasons, or rather vote for two reasons. One, we say the United States is a democracy. It's not. It's an oligarchy, right? There's a small number of people who really run things, and the rest of us are left out. And with Congress, they're not passing bills that stop school shootings. It's hard to pay for your bills at the grocery store. The gas pump is expensive. It's hard to get health care and to pay for it. So on the ground, I feel like your average American feels like their concerns are not really being met because all we see is political pageantry. And I say all of that to say the same is the truth with the Supreme Court. Now, if you look at the way our government was founded, the Supreme Court was never intended to be the strongest branch. In fact, one of its first major decisions gave it the power to do what it does now, which is review the constitutionality of the laws. So for them to be very clearly slanted, we obviously need to change something, and we need to do something differently, particularly where that branch has developed the outsized power to decide on the ground what happens to our lives, right? The healthcare decisions we can make, who we can marry, where we can live, all these kinds of things are in their hands. So when you have somebody who is very clearly slanted one way, then you cannot expect that there's ever going to be a fair shot when you come up to argue. And you're not wrong. There's no way that Ginny Thomas is not talking to him about the cases coming before him, as are the people who are sending Alito on these private jets and to these private events into Italy. So, the reality is there's corruption afoot, but it's particularly insidious because that's the branch that is supposed to be most above the fray, and the branch who seems to be most resistant now to putting in ethics to hold itself accountable.
Michael, this is a ProPublica story. Go to my iPad. You see right here, Clarence Thomas secretly participated in Koch network donor events. And you go into the story, you will see here, it says on January 25th, 2018, dozens of private jets descended on Palm Springs International Airport. Some of the richest people in the country were arriving for the annual Winter Donor Summit of the Koch Network, the political organization founded by libertarian billionaires Charles and David Koch. A long weekend of strategizing, relaxation in the California sun, and high-dollar fundraising lay ahead. Just after 6 p.m., a Gulfstream G200 jet touched down on the tarmac. One of the Koch Network's most powerful allies was on board, Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. During the summit, the justice went to a private dinner for the network's donors. Thomas has attended Koch donor events at least twice over the years, according to interviews with 3 former network employees and 1 major donor. The justice was brought in to speak, staffers said, in the hopes that such access would encourage donors to continue giving. Michael, there's without a doubt Clarence Thomas should be resigning from the Supreme Court. He is completely compromised.
Absolutely. Yes, he should resign. But also, we have to really connect the dots with this and understand the role that Leonard Leo plays, understand the role that not just the Koch brothers, but when you look at somebody like Mitch McConnell, who blocked 103 federal judge nominations from President Barack Obama after Republicans took back control of the Senate in 2014. And then Mitch McConnell blocked Merrick Garland, who was Obama's Supreme Court nominee in 2016. And, there's talk back and forth about expanding the courts, things like this. But what was really, really important for people to understand is that Donald Trump got 3 Supreme Court justice nominations confirmed, okay? These are conservatives, and this is one of the reasons why you have so many people sticking with Trump, because he said he would only nominate Supreme Court justices who would overturn Roe versus Wade. He basically got that done. And we have to understand what happens, why voting for president is so important, but also the Senate, because the president nominates federal judges and Supreme Court justices, which right now are lifetime appointments, but the Senate confirms them. Okay, so a lot of people don't understand how all these dots are connected, and they keep seeing these negative things taking place. This is not as difficult to remedy as many people think. We got to vote better people in the office and vote more competent people in the office, and vote criminals out of office, regardless of whether they're Democrat or Republican.